Yes, sir. We back. You know, we got my boy Mikey G coming in. He's pretty new to Instagram, so just bear with me. He doesn't really use IG like that, so it was a little bit for him to figure it out. So hopefully he won't be too long. But thank you guys. We got a dope interview coming up with Chris Copeland. My partner did Chris Copeland today, so that'll be posted very shortly. So look out for that. We got more. We got Denham Brown coming through. Just a lot, man. A lot of things booming for hip hop hoops right now. You know, we're gonna get some hip hop artists in here, of course. It's hot. Sorry. Yeah, we're doing some things, man. So stay tuned. Stay tuned. If you haven't checked out any of our previous interviews, I suggest you go, man. You know, I just did a dope interview with Trayvon Thomas. He's going to Vanderbilt, so that's dope. Check that out. I just did that last night. And we're doing Mike George today, man. So he's new. Stay with us. He'll be here. He was on my other account. I told him I don't use that account. We at Hip Hop Hoops, man. So best kept secret. What's up? There he goes. So we gonna tap him in right now. Mikey.
Yo, what's up, brother?
Can you hear me? Can
I
you hear
can.
me?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Okay, perfect. Yes, sir. I can hear you. That light is a little shiny in your face. I want people to
my
see
bad.
you, man.
My bad. Let me go over
It's
here.
okay.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm new to this.
No problem.
Yeah. What's going
First
on?
and foremost, I want to thank you for taking the time, of course, man. Sitting here with me. This is big for us at Hip Hop Hoops, of course. We had, guys like Bobby Allen, Sherman Hamilton, Jerome Robinson. So, it was only right for you to come on here
All
and,
right.
talk. Plus people want to hear from you, man. People want to hear from you. So, that's
All right.
first and foremost. We want to thank you for that. I appreciate that. How you been dealing with COVID, bro? I know this is a tough time right now.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on. And anytime we could be in the company of Sherman, the legend of Malton, Bobby, and then Rome, it's always a privilege and a pleasure. And I love what you've been doing, by the way, and, the good work and stuff like that, man. So
Thank you. I appreciate it, man. Appreciate it.
the COVID, I just say, you're living the COVID dream or nightmare, either way you want to look. I think it's here. It is what it is. I myself experienced it a little bit. It is what it is. But, I mean, it's cool. You just kind of go on with whatever you got to keep doing. And it's kind of the new norm at the moment. But it is what it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll get into it, man. We'll get into it. Let's talk about you as a basketball player. Not people that I know that know you, because I've been knowing you for a long time since we were kids, like high school. But people don't know that you play basketball. You were at Morning Star. You were one of the elite players coming out of high school. I was younger, and it was when I came to Malton at about 14 years old. Your name was ringing bells, and Jerome Robinson's name was ringing bells. Let's talk about who were some of the guys that influenced you when you were coming up playing ball, man?
I mean, obviously the biggest influence was my brother, Mortimer George. God rest his soul. He passed away. I was 18. He was
God rest his
25.
soul.
Yeah, but he was the one that kind of inspired me, obviously, to play the game and, the things to do. And I used to watch him back at, when you played at Westwood. And you watch guys like Sherman, Andrew Shepard. And then when you went to Morning Star, you see Bobby, not really Bobby, sir, but more at that time was Reggie, Keith Johnson, some of the other legends over there. So I would say those guys inspired us to play basketball. And then on a lower level, in the sense of he wasn't necessarily the greatest player in the world, but a really decent player was Steve Miller. But it was just more his influence in the community when we used to have this drop-in center that used to always open it up for us and stuff like that. So I would say those guys are the ones that kind of inspired us to play.
Mm. I remember the first time that I heard of your name. I was about 13, 14 years old, and
Mhm.
we played against you guys in the OFSA to go. It was Runnymede versus Morningstar. It was to go to OFSA. I
Yeah.
hate to bring up I hate to bring up
Uh,
bad news,
yeah,
but
I'm kidding.
yeah, that was the first time. You guys were good, man. You guys had
You were
what's his
there,
name? The big kid.
Aaron
What's the
Molnar.
big kid name? Molnar was on your team.
Yeah, you were there.
I yeah, I was there. I was here. I was there. I was here. I was
Oh
there.
man, yeah, that brings back some nightmares, man.
Yeah, I still
That
I
was
still
that
got
was
my
actually
silver medal.
yeah, that wasn't actually to go to officers to go to officer finals, and you guys played
Yes,
running.
yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
and
yep.
we had the
Because we end up
ball
we end up playing Eastern
Eastern
Conference in the
Common.
finals.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and I remember we had the ball. Actually, let me go back. Kane, I think his name was, and they ran
Yeah,
some
Damien Kane.
him down. Yeah, and he traveled the hell out of it. First, he fouled one of our guys. Then he traveled. I see what's going on here. This biased GTA Toronto. They don't want to. They don't want those Malton guys to win. You know what I mean? See what's going on. And then fast forward, we're down 5 seconds left. You know, I get it like end to end. And them times I remember it was it Jamal Tinsley, whatever it was, where we went end to end with UCLA, whatever. And I remember, yo, can I pull this off? So I got it, went end to end, pulled up at the elbow, and thing went in and out. And you guys won, man.
Mm,
That was, yeah, I won't forget that. Won't forget
I,
that. I know
I,
you're
I,
part of
re-
that
I
team.
rem-
I knew you're part of that
yeah,
team.
yeah.
I wouldn't talk to you. God bless you,
Yeah,
man.
man. I was a kid, man. I was a young kid, grade 9,
Yeah, yeah,
coming
yeah.
up.
Danny
Just
was
a
on that
hungry,
team, no?
hungry guy. Yeah, Danny. It was Danny Clive. It was Clayton Henry, Damien Kane, Damien Wade. Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Clive. He was on that team. It was.
Danny wasn't very good, right?
I know he might see this.
Yeah.
Danny
They
was
can
a
watch it.
great
They can watch it.
defender.
Yeah. He was like
He
the
was a
fifth.
he was a great defender.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go. Yeah, he's the fifth option on the team. But was he a better? Was Danny a better defender than Jerome?
No. No.
Okay, all right.
No.
Just ask.
I heard there was an actual discussion of who was the better defender, you or Rome.
Yeah, we'll discuss that
And
later. We've already had. Listen, we've had the
yeah,
discussion. The jury's been out. We're gonna leave it at that. I don't want to hear your opinion on it. We're gonna leave it at that.
I heard there was more Morningstar guys in that call. Did
No,
I?
listen. It was even as balance between the Morningstar and the Westwood guys,
Yeah.
and then ones that voted for him. No disrespect, they weren't really basketball players. They were spectators. The ones that voted for me were hoopers. So I know Rome's
Yeah.
listening now. So
Yeah. Oh, here. What's his name? We got Smitty chiming in, man. So who was your favorite player growing up, man? Who is a guy that you would say you patterned your game after, man?
I would say like I loved. There's like three guys that kind of watched and admired. So Magic Johnson, obviously
Mm,
from the Lakers, when you watched him, just as a passing ability to get guys involved. Then Jason Kidd, when it kind of went to the newer generation. Um,
mm.
and Gary Payton, I just think from his defensive abilities and the way he led his team. So I'd say those three guys were three guys that I kind of just try to model my game after. So
I could see Gary Payton, man, because I remember the first time we actually played was against each other was at the community center, and I didn't like you, man, because you were nasty. You're nasty, and I liked playing with you because after a while we started playing with each other, and I was like, okay,
yeah,
we can ride, we can go at it,
right.
Brampton, whoever, let's go. I'm with him, but I see Gary Payton. I see Gary Payton. You're vicious on defense and stuff like that, and you talk, man. You're very very confident. So I could see Gary Payton. Who would you say top 5 point guards are for you?
Ooh, before I respond to that, can you tell Chippy to stop trying to call people when he knows you're on an Instagram live? What's wrong with this
Oh
guy?
my God,
How do I
Chippy,
talk him? Stop it, But anyways,
Chippy,
I
man.
would say 5 point guards of all time. I would say, obviously, I think Jason Kidd is one of them.
Mm,
Magic,
This is not in order, right?
No, not in order. No,
Okay.
not in order. Magic will be the best of all time, in my opinion.
In my opinion as well.
I think Jason Kidd's one of the best point guards of all time. You got to give love and respect to Steve Nash, our own home guy. And I think, for a guy that would have been 3-time MVP, but they robbed him because they're like, yo, we're not giving the Canadian. Robbed him that last year, but you got to give him his respect for what he's done.
100%.
I mean, today's point guards, there's so many guys. You look at Steph Curry, like he changed the game and different things, but I don't know if you necessarily call those guys point guards. They're point guards, but I don't know if you call them point
like
guards.
True point guards. Yeah. I think Curry changed the game as far as point guards.
Right.
Because he's more of a shooting guard almost.
Guard, right? So.
Yeah.
It's a little different.
I agree. Okay. So you're a Malton guy like myself, and there's Malton guys on here. I brought up a thing a while ago where I felt like Malton produced the best basketball players, and I said within a span, I said we're just more consistent than a lot of other neighborhoods, and people, they laughed. They said you're wrong. You're absolutely wrong. What is your thoughts on that?
I think sometimes it's easy to say, like, I feel like my hood was the best basketball hood. Or, I think the other thing when you come with, like, facts. And I feel like when we play, I'll talk about high school first. When you look at Westwood and Morningstar, these were the two top high schools in high school basketball throughout the years. And you're talking about schools that were 5 minutes apart. If we were
down the street, literally.
Right. And if we were to bring those teams together, like people who all switched to, like, let's say Bathurst, your school, Runnymede, who were traveling, Danny, not pointing out names, who were traveling from Rexdale all the way down there. Like, if we were just across the street and walked down 5 minutes and put our teams together, we would have won off for like 5 years straight, 6 years straight. So to test that theory, summertime, we all joined together. So all Malton guys, let's go play against the best of Jane and Finch, the best of Scarborough, Top Gun, whoever there was. And I can only remember just going through the summers, just going undefeated. And once every northern and they went undefeated. So I say factually, in regards to information, we've done our thing. Now, some of these guys like Wilton might be upset about that, but it is what it is, bro.
But this is what I'm saying. Like I just stated, like, when you talk to a guy like Chippy, and I don't want to disrespect anybody, but he'll try to enter his name in the conversation, and I'm like, when you do that, you devalue the Finch,
For what? What was Chippy talking about? For the best hype man? Oh, okay. For the best hype man or instigator, yes, he'd be up there.
No, and it was crazy because I said, even when we came as older guys and we came in, you guys, Father's Day tournament, we were still beating you guys. Right. You guys were washed, and we were all like the same age, pretty much.
Right.
You know what I mean? So he's laughing. So
but now listen, like the Finch guys or whatever, they were tough games. Like, there were battles. So
100%.
We were just a different in the sense of, like, how hard we played. Our center was like Craig Morgan at 5'10", 5'11", if you're like, you know what I mean? We didn't have your typical. Matter of fact, before there was small ball, we were playing small ball. You know what I mean? So, but again, it was. We had our time, and no one could ever disrespect Malton, but no one ever could disrespect all the other areas too. Everyone had their hoopers and stuff. So
no, Hunter, I would never disrespect Finch. Finch has amazing hoopers, but I just felt like Malton produced better, and there's nothing wrong with that.
No question.
Okay, moving forward. Let's talk about CIA bounce, man. Is that okay?
Yeah,
Can we talk about that?
Yeah.
Okay, so after you were done playing, you started CIA bounce. How did that all come about, and why did you start it?
Well, originally it was CIA. And what happened was, as soon as I finished playing, I was at this church called Humberley Church of God, and myself and a guy Derek Boyce and this guy Jason West were over there, and we're just doing, like, out of a youth program, just helping kids in Rexdale. So what happens is, in helping kids from Rexdale, you got some kids from Rexdale, Jane and Finch, and Malton. And we all started putting them together, and we coached them, and that was called CIA, which is originally Christians in Action. And
Christian's
it's time
nice. Okay.
to always play against, moving forward, we started, Roll was kind of dominating things with grassroots. So we just said, you know what, forget these older guys for now because, they're already in their ways. Let's start some younger kids and build them up and then start, kind of build them to teach them the way that you want them to play and yada yada. So CIA was created and we started playing against Bounce all the time. We didn't like each other. Couldn't stand each other. Literally, you go to tournaments, final games, there's like a fight, but I'll be on the floor, talk to each other, So anyway, and they used to beat us up back. I won't even lie. Originally, they beat us up. Of course, we're in the gym, we're grinding. We, I would say we got better, and then we start beating them. So
Right.
how it works with kids. Once you start beating their teams, everybody wants to switch teams. So instead of all that stuff, I was like, you know what, let's just put our stuff aside. And it's Tony McIntyre. I said, let's put our stuff aside. Let's join together. We're doing the same things. We're always in the finals. Let's unite together. And I guess that turning point for that moment was in Syracuse when they were playing against, remember Freddie? Freddie and those guys were playing against Johnny Flynn and Paul Harris.
Paul Harris.
Yeah, right? Okay.
So was that GC Ballers?
Right, yeah.
So the guy, matter of fact, hold on one second. The guy for GC Ballers, he knew we were doing this today, and he wanted to say hello.
Oh yeah, tell myself what's up, man. For sure.
Go on.
He's a big reason we CIA Bounce is CIA Bounce.
Because he moved to North Carolina. Now he coaches the CP. The is it Chris Paul's AU team now? He does
one of those teams out there, but that's good. Jeff really helped us out. He's a big time guy. But so
I'll tell him you said hello for sure.
Please, yeah. So we would like I said, we went back and forth, lots of shows. We ended up saying, you know what, let's work together, And when that game was going on, we all kind of we started cheering for them. And when Freddie was playing and Johnny was talking pure trash, and then I was like, yo, man, we all families be together. So, anyways, moving forward, became CIA Bounce. That's how it kind of came together, and then there's history.
Okay, you guys had very, very good teams, man. With the Wiggins and Xavier on that same team. Were you a part of it then, or were you?
Yeah. I left after, I think it was just after the Wiggins year, or maybe 1 year, in between the 1 year after that. But prior to that, I would say grassroots was, and actually I'll go back even further. Bob Marsh was really originally one of the guys that started. Then Roll did his thing, you know what I mean? And Roll did
I remember Bob Marsh. Shit.
Yeah, and Roll did a phenomenal job. And I think everyone has their run at it, And then we came in at the right time, right place. And I would say, things really, really took off for the program. And then now obviously there's you playing some other programs. But I just think the impact that we've had and the run we had was exciting. And the teams we had, I don't think it'd ever be repeated. No disrespect to any generation. But those teams that we had where you had Andrew Wiggins, Anthony Bennett, Sim Buller, Stephon Nastic, Negus Webster-Chan, Nick Lewis, and the list goes on with just pros, Dyshawn Pierre, no team really. That was our most talented team, but our best team was Andrew, X, and Tyler, and Isaiah, and a couple of guys, whatever. Right.
That was tough, man. That's tough.
Yes, and we almost won Peace Jam.
How do you feel about you? No, hold up. A question, my part. He's asking about the experience, deal or no deal. I don't know if you want. Do you want to talk about that or?
Sure, it's all good. I try to think about some things. You're bringing back some things that I'm trying to leave behind me, but now, so experience with deal or no deal was cool. You know what I mean? I thought it was, it was one of those things where when I was teaching, a teacher came in was like, yo, this show Deal or No Deal is coming to Canada. You should apply for it. I'm like, man, hell no, I ain't doing none of that stuff. So anyways, as it kind of went on, I was like, you know what? Let's look into it. Put the application in with no intention thinking they're actually going to call. So I actually remember the story where when they called, they're like, hey, man, this is Deal or No Deal, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, man, get the hell out of here, man. This ain't no deal. So I hung up. Hey, yeah, okay, whatever. And I hung up. I'm like, whatever. So then they called back like, yo, I don't think you really believe it's us. And then I'm like, yo, really? I thought it was one of these man Swiss and Sky. That was these guys trying to clown me. So I'm like, oh, damn, this is really them. So anyways, fast forward and, the show happens. Great experience. I regret some numbers I picked. We won't talk about that. But it was great because I think that's what helped to really, as far as financially start off the program. That was a major factor in really getting the program to the next level where you're able to go and do things like go to France and different experience with these kids. And that just took our program to the next level.
Right. Got you. Question. Who was their first big time guy as far as AAU? Who was the first guy you sent off to college, got him a scholarship? Who was the first
Man,
major guy you had?
first major. Well, the first guy I would say, like, when we had like older kids, was like Kamar Burke, but he didn't go out. He was supposed to go to Buffalo, but there's a long story with that whole. We'll talk about that another day privately. But the first guy, I'd say, it wasn't really guys, it was guys, because our first guys coming up were, Melvin Edgem, Kofi,
Nice.
even Tristan Thompson. That's Tony coached him since 4th grade, so he's really, even though I know he's part of grassroots and whatever, but he originally started with Bounce. So all those guys, I would say collectively, Tavon Prince, these guys all were kind of our first class
Tavon, that's
of
my
guys.
guy. Oh yeah. You had Newbie as well, right?
Jabs, Newbie, yeah, all those
Jabs.
guys.
He was tough. I like him and Tavon. Those were my guys, man.
Yes, talented kids, man.
Okay.
Super. Just they're like a generation too early. Like maybe a couple of years too early.
Yeah,
They were like,
I was gonna say that.
Yeah. It's like us. Like when we were playing, we're like, if I was playing with these kids, like these kids, but it's just the way it's. But again, you don't the next generation. You're happy for them, and you just hope that they're grateful for the opportunities they're given. So.
100%. What do you feel the difference is between AAU then and now? Like I've always seen, like, it was always divided to me with basketball, AAU, especially in Toronto. And I'd always would tell people that my experience of AAU programs in the States, like, if they were gonna do, there might be several teams in Philadelphia, but when it was time to go out to Vegas or somewhere else in a major tournament, they're getting all the guys on one team, like all the good players on one team, and then they're gonna go out. Why do you think it's so divided in Toronto, man?
Well, I want to say, okay, first and foremost, like when I said, when Roe was doing it, Roe had a lot of the talent. He did. I just a different, those guys were extremely talented, but some of the mental wasn't completely there. And a lot of that was the lack of exposure to American competition. So there wasn't as many guys going off to prep school. And if they went to prep school, they came right back home. They couldn't handle the tough situation. So, like I said, the time when we kind of started it, and our movement started going with our, our guys were developing from younger and going up. I want to say, like, those guys just really, their game, like, we had all the talent, you know what I mean, within Canada. Like, recruiting wise, I had no issue getting all the best kids. So when you got Andrew, like I told you about that team, like every kid was within Bounce and CIA Bounce. Like, so from even RJ was there before I left, you know what I mean? And blah, blah, blah. Now, after obviously things fell apart, but I think I would say for that stretch or that run, every kid was within the program. And it's not necessarily always about the program, but it was a lot of it to do with the program, but we also had the Nike sponsorship too, you know what I mean? Which helped a lot. Now you fast forward today where, a lot of kids are making the NBA, things are going well, and some of the, and again, I'm not everybody when I say this, some of the motive intention is not the same. We did it, develop, get guys scholarships, move on. Now it's like, yo, this kid's good enough to be the NBA, I'm going to hold him back on my team. He's with even though it might be better for him to be on this circuit, getting this exposure, but not now. He's with my team, and then so now you got the Under Armour, the Adidas, the Nike, and everybody's fighting, and it's more about keeping their kid because they're looking for something down the road. I don't know. You know what I mean? I just think it's a different mentality now, and everybody is holding on to their kids, rather than let me put a kid in the best position and believe that my relationship's strong enough that if he makes it to a certain point, he'll look out for you anyways, whatever that even means. You know what I mean? I'd rather say go get a job, But anyways, that's another story.
Milky's asking a question. He goes, what's the difference between the hustle and heart we had compared to the kids now?
Well, I'll just make it as simple as this. Back in the day, everyone played hard. You know what I mean? Now they talk about motor as a skill. Like when you talk to NBA teams or you talk to a college, they're like, yeah, the kid got a motor. What does that even mean? You have a motor. Why are you playing? You know what I'm saying? Like, what? So now the reality is playing hard is an NBA skill, believe it or not. So I would say as simple as that to answer this question is we're just different mentalities. And the other part is we grew up with, 2 bathrooms, maybe a 1-car garage that was full of with garbage in there. These kids have 3-car garage, 5 bathrooms, 5 rooms. You know what I mean? It's a different life, man. Which ain't nothing to be mad about, but they also ain't as hungry as we were.
I was gonna say that part. I think the hunger was a lot different.
Mhm.
We didn't have Rick Pitino just coming across the border looking at guys like that. So we kind of had to like, go to them in a sense. Like now Rick Pitino's crossing that border to come see a Wiggins or a Tristan Thompson. So it's a lot different, man. I remember traveling to Hamilton on the bus to go play for 2 hours. Guys ain't doing that no more. So
No, don't even take
yeah,
a 20-minute bus ride. What do you mean about talking about?
exactly.
We take bus from Malton and go into Islington subway to go downtown to play at George Brown and then hop back off the subway. And man, don't even have bus fare sometimes. We have to hop the wall, But anyways, I don't want to encourage no badness to kids, right? But you have to hop the wall. You remember those days of hopping the walls. So anyways.
Exactly. It's crazy because I remember I was training this kid at my school and I was getting some gym time from Kingsley and I was like, just meet me at Humber College, man. And the guy lives in
Whatever,
Malton,
right.
man. And he didn't want to just take the bus to Malton. He wanted me to come pick him up. And I'm like, bro, you can't take the bus from Malton. You know how close that is. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, different type of hunger, man.
Yeah.
All right. When did you realize you were gonna become an agent? Because it was crazy. I saw you on TV.
Yeah.
It was North Carolina versus UNLV, and I see you sitting down. I'm like, I had no clue. But so I don't know if it was when Anthony Bennett was at UNLV, of course. But when did you realize like, okay, I'm gonna get away from AAU and step into the agency? I don't know if how much we can talk and go
Yeah, of
into things. So
course.
let me know when we can't. Okay.
No, you're good. No, so I would say
Okay.
it was probably, I've never dreamed about being an agent, blah, blah. I love teaching. I love helping kids. It's always been in my heart, and I still do it to this day. But being an agent I would almost feel like, as you went through that whole process, meeting different guys, it was just like none of them were about the kid per se. In America, it's very business oriented. We're just different, right? And it's fine. Either way, Americans have a different way of doing things where business, da, 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 da. Canadians slash people from the island, Africa, you know what I mean? Like we just have different ways of doing things where it's more relationship based and I'm going to do what's in the best interest of you always, right? Not financially. So as you're meeting with these guys, you realize, they don't really care about the well-being. Not in a bad way when I say that, okay? But they're not necessarily interested in the well-being of somebody and the athlete and the player. It's just business. Where we didn't have somebody in Canada that was doing it. So it kind of fell into my lap of, hey, Mike, you'd be really great at this. You'd be good at it. You should think about doing this. We don't have it here right now. There's a couple of guys that kind of do one-offs, but no one that's really got the influence that you can have and the heart and the intelligence and so forth to make this work. You should really pursue it. And then, I would say about March is when I actually fully went in of that year to end up doing it. So I struggled a little bit initially, but then, when you're called to do something, no matter if you try to run away from it, it still comes back to you. So
Fact, 100%. Was Bennett your first? Was he your first
he was,
client?
yeah,
Okay. So
him,
it's crazy.
yeah. Go
Who
ahead.
who who else who else were you gonna say you had
No,
that
it was
year?
like him. It was Jordan Clark. They were the next year, though. I think Jordan Clarkson, a couple of these guys.
Jordan Clarkson. Okay.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Your first year, your first client, I would say, and he's the number one pick in the draft. How are you feeling right now?
You know,
The number one pick in the draft, man.
it's kind of surreal because you don't really like. Again, you're not. It's amazing. It's the experience of going through all that stuff, and for me, it's just seeing a family happy, seeing him happy, and even for just as Canada, right? It's like it's never been done. And I think I named the company like One Legacy Sports when I started my own thing here, whatever. But I just feel like leaving a legacy, something behind, is always important. So more things you kind of keep leaving imprints on this world and this place, because we're all gonna die. You're not going to your grave with anything else. But if you can leave memories back and stuff, even for your kids to look back, like, my dad was the first to do that, be part of this experience. My
Mhm.
dad. Those are the kind of things for me that's important to myself. So.
Right.
Mm.
So Anthony Bennett, man, he doesn't pan out. Um, he comes out, he's hurt. He looks a little bit overweight. I personally felt like Anthony Bennett was a wing player. I thought he was a three, but I think because of UNO, and I guess he was ahead of the time, like ahead of his time, I would say as well. Because what is Draymond Green and all these other guys who are playing the four, right? They're
Hmm.
all small and shooting and dribbling, and I just felt like he was a little bit ahead of this time. But I do believe he was a three. You know what I mean? And then we hear the discussion where okay, they feel like Anthony Bennett is the worst number one draft pick. I don't personally believe that. I think there's a lot of guys like Sam Bowie. We have Kwame Brown. Or no, Sam Bowie wasn't number one, was he? Or was he Hakeem Olajuwon? I think Hakeem was. And
Olajuwon was
Sam
one.
Bowie was. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you guys have like okay, Kwame Brown. I think that Anthony Bennett was a better talent than Kwame Brown.
Mhm.
And I seen him work his way. He was working his way back
Right.
into things, and then he ended up just getting hurt. He was playing really, really well in the D League. You know what I mean? And then I think he got his second, or I don't know how much opportunities, but he was going to play with Houston, I believe, and then ended
Yeah.
up getting hurt again.
Yeah.
What would you say about that when people would say, oh, he's this the a bust
Well,
or
yeah, you don't want to like. I mean, the worst thing is that you don't want to make excuses for people, right? And the things that happen. But there's excuses and there's legitimate reasons for things that take place. So first and foremost, I would say Cleveland at that point going number one. Yeah, it was amazing at the time, but it wasn't necessarily the best fit. All right. And
mm,
what I mean is Cleveland was rebuilding at that point, and or not even rebuilding. They're trying to win. So Coach Brown, who I'm
mm,
very, one of my closest friends, and Chris Grant was really just trying to win these games and blah, blah, blah. And Anthony, coming out of college was hurting. He hurt his shoulder, so he did surgery before the draft. So he didn't even work out. So the draft process, he didn't work out. All he did was
oh wow,
interviews. So
he
you talk
had no
been
workouts at
up.
all.
So, no, no. So when
Oh wow,
basketball
I
was
didn't
done
know
in
that.
March, yeah, this is what I'm saying. So a lot of people don't really know the story, and then someday they'll hear it.
Okay,
But it's the people, people love to see people fail. They rather talk
of
more about
course,
that than people do well, right? So
100%.
again, so he comes out, he's hurt in March. He plays through the tournament, shoulders messed up. They do surgery, and UNLV at that point did a horrible job of diagnosing his injury. You fast forward, and they're like, oh, it's just like some little tender thing, whatever. And then you find out he's like a torn rotator cuff and so forth. So he does surgery, misses, and that's a whole nother conversation about colleges, but we'll move on about that. So he misses working out, gets finally back ready for training camp. And again, because Cleveland's in this transition period, their training staff and so forth are not equipped in regards to like, yo, let's get this guy back in shape first before he steps back on the floor. So they rush him
Mm-hmm.
out because of the pressure on themselves. He's at 260 and his playing weight is 240. And you're right.
Oh wow.
And you both know playing basketball, like even put on 5 pounds, we feel like, oh man, we can't move. So now you're talking about a
Mm-hmm.
guy that game is based off of explosion. He's out now because he has like 20 pounds extra and he's asked to go play. So he fights
Mm-hmm.
through it. And I'm talking to GM, and again, I'm a new agent, but there's a veteran agent that's on doing it, right? As well. And I'm looking like, yo, this is kind of crazy, man. Like there should be more going on here. Like why are you forcing him to play? And at that point, it was a negative. It was a stigma that if you, it was taboo like to go play in the G League. Like if you're playing which is called the D League back then, but if you go play in the D League, it's embarrassing. You're not supposed to. But I'm like, yo, that's your development program. Why wouldn't you have him go down there first, get himself in playing shape, get back to 240, then come back and play in the league? But instead, you have the guy at 260 trying to go and play, and he wasn't ready. So now you have him fighting through that. Then you have veterans on the team, no disrespect to Cleveland, but those guys were like partying, going to club. They weren't really trying to get their younger guy going, right? And Kyrie was a young leader at that point, you know what I mean? And Jared Jack was kind of the veteran of the team. So there was a lot of things that weren't necessarily working in his favor. And then add on the fact when he finally started getting his rhythm back, I remember when he played Sacramento, DeMarcus Cousins and so forth, he got hurt again. And he missed 20 plus or 30 games at the end of that year. Fast forward to Minnesota, goes in, he looks great beginning of the year. He's doing well. He gets to after All-Star break, turns his ankle out. He almost broke it. So he's out for like 30 plus games. So he's just been an injury upon injury, and then also just not being in the, just getting that right opportunity.
Mm.
Injuries.
You think the confidence was going down after he's not playing at the right way, the injuries,
Yeah, of
confidence
course.
too, huh?
But the crazy part is I still think he's one of the best shooters I've ever seen at that size. I look at Draymond, and again, no disrespect to Draymond, but Anthony's a way better version who can actually shoot the three ball like at a high clip And you saw it when he was playing
Mm-hmm.
at the G League, everything at like over 50% from the 3-point line and blah, blah, blah. The kid is
Oh, he was
super,
playing well.
but he
He
just, you
was
know,
playing so well, and I was rooting for him. And then that injury,
yeah,
just like
yes.
oh
But, you know,
man.
I mean,
So
the book's still open. You know what I mean? I always
yeah,
tell him,
yeah.
like, listen, man,
He's still young. How old
yeah,
is he now?
he's
Like
still
he's not even.
26, 26, man.
No,
I said,
he's
this is your prime,
young,
you know,
man.
26, you know what I mean? So I think it's for him now to kind of dig deep. And if we could just get him healthy and these injuries, so it's not a skill thing why he's, like you would say he's a bust.
No, no,
It's, right,
no,
right.
no. Definitely an injury. Is it NBA or is he? Would he ever think about going to like a China and just dominating and then coming back, or is it just he's gonna rehab and then try
I
to
think he'll do it.
come
He'll
play
look at, I
G
mean,
League?
he'll look at it. I mean, like last year, like the Houston Rockets were a perfect fit for him, right? You know, like
Oh yeah,
all
oh
you
yeah,
gotta
yeah.
do is, you know, you stay outside. They love the small ball, knock down the three, rebound the ball. So all things that he does really well at. And then, like I said, is it's going well for him. He got injured again. So it's
I
literally
believe this
bad luck.
was I believe that was his time. Like I said
Yes.
it, I was like when I seen that he was getting ready to go to Houston, I'm like, this is it.
Yeah.
He is going to do it because Houston is his style. Now they're
Correct.
doing this small ball thing. Like this is perfect for him, and
Completely.
I know he can
Yeah.
shoot. I
That's
know he
right.
can shoot. He can definitely shoot. So that would have been perfect for him. But yeah, man, I wish him well, man. I hope to see that,
I
I
appreciate
hope
that.
to see him come back better, man, and hope he
Same.
doesn't lose his confidence
Correct.
and he comes back and does his thing, man. Does what he's supposed to do. He's young, 26, man. He's a baby, man. There's guys that's way older than him, and they're
No
getting
question.
looks. Like you got guys like Beasley. You got guys, and I'm not no disrespect to those guys. Those guys are really good players, but those guys are older. And
I
I believe
agree.
if he was healthy, he probably would have had a great opportunity to go in this bubble and get a chance to display his skill, man. So
Agree.
shout out to him, man. Shout out to Bennett, man.
I'll tell you so.
Um, moving forward, I want to talk about one legacy. So let me know if we what we can and what we can't talk about.
Yeah, you're good.
So you were with CAA, correct?
No, Excel Sports.
Excel, sorry, Excel.
Yeah.
Okay, Excel. What made you move on from Excel and start your own thing, One Legacy?
I think there's a few factors. You know, obviously when I got there, you know, my thing was I don't want to go in somewhere just be like, you know, let me start on my own right off the bat. Was to learn from a company, and Excel is one of the better agencies in the business.
100%.
And I thought it was, you know, really important to learn from, you know, what people consider to be the best agents in the world. And I enjoyed it there. You know, it was great. It's easy, you know what I mean, in the sense of like you got this large company, you're gonna go recruit guys. It was like, you know, a little easier to recruit guys, obviously. But at the same time, I'm not a guy that I'm not very good at just sitting and being comfortable. And to be honest with you, you know, this year has actually been with this whole 2020, what's going on with George Floyd and blah blah blah, was a huge part of like. But I was already thinking that back then when I looked at, and it's no disrespect to Excel, love them, but when I look at us black people, and especially as Canadian black, and I look at the office representation, and not even just Excel, but this is around agencies in basketball, in the NBA. A lot of these agencies are predominantly not visible minorities, if you get what I'm
Hmm.
saying.
Yep.
And to me, I'm like, well, we can't have that. Like, I think most of our clients are visible minorities, so there should be more representation. So what are we saying? There's not enough qualified black people to take these positions and work here? I disagree with that. And then the
Hmm.
other part is, you know, Canada is a big part of what's going on, and where's our movement in Canada? Like, where's our representation as Canadians in this market? So for me to go back now to start something special back home, you know what I mean? No matter if I live in the States during the winter and I go Toronto, Canada, Malton is my home. So for me to go do something and it's not about Mike George, it's about our country, it was important. So to go
Hmm.
back there and I told you with being the first with this and the first with that and the legacy, to me was like, man, I'm gonna go be the first to go do this big and you know and do this for our people and now be able to hire on my Canadian folks too and different folks, you know what I mean, and just build a brand within Canada and leave a legacy again where your kids look at you like, yo, dad, you know those times we used to tell me a story about like, you know, don't be the employee, be the employer, don't be the, you know what I mean, don't be the one that's borrowing, be the, you know, the one that's lending, you know, like, you know, so all these things you give them and they're like, yo, you're about that, you know. And even though I could have made a lot more and easier life with Excel Sports, 100%, because they cover everything you're doing there. And was it a risk and a chance that I'm taking out here going on my own? 2,000,000%. But for a lot of people didn't understand that like it's bigger than Mike George and it's bigger than that. And my life has always been about taking risk.
Wow, that's
And
dope,
believe me,
man.
believe in yourself, man.
That's dope. I love that, man. Milky is asking a question here. He wants to know, is it harder being a Canadian agent? Do you have to
Yeah.
work twice as hard? Do you have to work twice as hard?
Well, it's like you got two whammies being a black Canadian agent. I mean, and listen, I say black Canadian agent. I also say from the islands and Jamaica and different. Because I always rep everything about who we are as people. Because I think Canadian blacks and what we've been through is a little different than American blacks and so forth too. But at the end of the day, yeah, it's harder being Canadian. It's because so we always represents a lot of the Canadian guys. Yeah, but I also represent my American guys too. Like like Jalen Adams, Rondé Hollis Jefferson. Like but they're all family.
Chap.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But they're solid kids. So if you're a solid guy and you believe in the movement and what's going on, I feel like, regardless of being Canadian or not, I feel like once people get to know you and what you're about and what you stand for, and then my thing is always proof in the pudding. So if I get a guy like, Ken Birch, who was out of the league, and I get him into the league, Dylan Brooks, who was the 45th pick, signs for $35 million, just before all this COVID stuff happened. And, the guys have written him off. Like, so for me, they've done their part to play basketball, and then I've done my part as an agent to make sure they need to go. You know what I mean? So it's a two-way.
Yeah. That was crazy that Dylan Brooks, man, the guy was the Pac-10 Player of the Year.
Yeah.
And go second round.
Yeah.
I didn't understand that. Was he playing a lot of four? Because I feel like Melvin Edmonds, that's my guy. I love him. He's one of my favorite players that you had, and he was Big 12 Player of the Year. But I think they were playing him a lot at the four, and he's really a three. Were they doing that with Dylan at Oregon?
The same way Anthony was before his time, I think Melvin just missed it by a year or two because Melvin and I look at Coach Hoiberg too, who coached Melvin when he got to Chicago. Like, yo, how are you not making this first call to be like, let me get Melvin here because the kid is a winner. So even and I'm just Melvin for a quick second. Even with our national team is like, yo, everyone listen, who's our main piece with our Canadian national team? It is Melvin. Every coach will tell you that. Coach Triano, Coach Smart. That's the core guy of our team that holds that glue guy. He's Draymond. You know what I mean? Kept everyone together, but a way better shooter. So, Melvin just missed it by a year or two. But I think what happened was people look at your measurements, right? His wingspan is like 6 this. Can he really dribble the ball? Because they did play him a little 4-3. And he played more on the wing in his last year. But again, can he really dribble the ball? But a lot of it just came down to measurements. Is he as athletic? It's just sometimes NBA teams, let me rephrase that. A lot of times they look at what you don't have and what you can't do rather than looking at what you do have and what you can do. Like Dylan's a winner, you know what I mean? And he plays hard. He's emotional. He's passionate. Look at those, you know what I mean? Don't worry about the other stuff. He'll figure the measurement, he'll make that up by the way he's hard and his dedication.
Oh, yeah. He one thing about Dylan, man, he plays so hard, extremely hard. He's very, very competitive. And he believes that he's the best player on the court every time.
Every time.
Yeah. So those things go a long way, man. So shout out to those guys, man. Especially Edgem, man. I believed Edgem was gonna be a first round pick because he was Big 12 Player of the Year. So it just didn't make any sense to me. But question that I would like to know, what is the process of an agent when you're trying to recruit a player? So if I want a player to come play for me, well, how is that process, man? Is it recruiting just like you would do, like colleges would do kids?
Is it like AAU recruiting in college?
Yeah,
I think it's
is it referral based? That's
both. It's both. There's one where you identify kids that you like talent-wise, and you may recruit them for the whole year. So you go visit them to see their games. You can cold call their parents, kind of like, hey, man, you know what I mean? Love to sit on the phone, yap with you. But I actually hate the recruiting process because it's a little different game with some of these higher-level guys, right? Like people are calling whatever they're so-called, whoever's in control of them, and then this person's trying to angle, let me get this money. So I'm like, listen, man, you all go with the first agent you'd like to go with. I will wait. When you fire them, because a lot of these guys fire their first agent, then I don't want to be your draft agent. I want to be your career agent. So when you're done with all this nonsense and you want to pick somebody based off of what they've done off their resume, then let's talk about that. But if you're picking someone based off of someone giving you a bag of money, this and that, I can't. So I'd rather just kind of hold back. And then once everything's finished with that, then I'll, you know what I mean, move in regards to like, I prefer to recruit them later on, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Mhm.
okay.
And then
Are
refer.
you referrals?
Yeah.
Are you willing to go on the girl side of things, man?
I
Because you know,
mean,
girls basketball, man, it's coming,
well,
Mikey, man. Girls
well,
basketball's coming, especially over here.
well, what I would like is if somebody, you know, I prefer people I know that would hit me up like, Mike, I'm really interested in being an agent and I want to take over this girls side. And there's a lot of qualified people that I feel that are involved in girls basketball, women's basketball, that I would be definitely open to that. I think, you know, I represent Kyle Alexander and I know his sister's with somebody else or whatever, right? But I'm like, man, our Canadian towns should stay with our Canadian people. You know, I'm very big on, like, you know, people like stick with black owned business. And I'm like, yo, stick with your own people here. So if someone from Canada wants to step up into that area and want to do it, I mean, I'm more than open to it.
I think we know some guys
Yeah,
mutual. So
yeah,
off camera we'll talk about that.
yeah, sure, for
But
sure.
I feel the same way. So I don't want to get into people's businesses and why they signed, but I felt like anything that came out of Toronto should have signed with you. And this conversations off the record with people, you know, mutual friends, and they're like, why wouldn't you go to why shouldn't they go to American? And I'm like if you're the
Mhm.
product, like it doesn't matter who you really have like with you, like you're the product and you're the one that's being demanded from everything. So it's like, why not stay Canadian? Like, it didn't really make sense to me. And when you try to
And then,
explain certain things to other people, they just want to fight it. So
yeah, but no, but again, here's the thing. It's not even like necessarily you have to come with, because I can't represent everybody, right? So you don't have to necessarily say come with me, but go with other Canadian agents like Gary Durant's. You know, he started his
oh
thing. Go to
yeah,
Gary.
yeah.
You know what I
Shout out
mean,
to Gary Durant.
Bernie Lee, yeah, Bernie Lee's Canadian. Go to Bernie. But either way you look at it, yeah, okay, because a lot of times these guys get caught up with the sweet nothings these guys tell them. You know what I mean? Or they oversell themselves as agents, and those guys
Hmm.
like to hear the big name. Well, they got they got. I don't want to say names to make offend anybody, you know. But now I'm gonna say, well, they got LeBron James. Okay, great. He has LeBron James, but what does that have to do with you? Right? You know what I'm saying? Like, man, good for you. Like, you know, don't go follow next. Go be who you need to be. You know what I mean? And then with
But
that, you know, again, and I always feel like for me, there's things I do within Toronto, Canada. I don't need to really yap about it. I just do it because I'm gonna give back things that I've earned back into our system, whether that's hiring Canadian people, whether that's making donations to certain things, and yada 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 yada. I'm gonna give back to our community. Those American guys have no obligation, no desire to come back and help our, you know, so you're giving them whatever, you know what I mean? A lot of
yeah,
money that they, you know what I'm saying, that they don't come back here and give, you know what I mean? And it's not that they deserve it. You know, there's some of our guys right now, they're like, they could be a max guy, be whatever, you know what I mean? And like, you're literally giving that, and just because of ignorance of like, I don't want to deal with that, then don't deal with me. I'm okay with that. But then there's other Canadian agents. What's your excuse for not dealing with those guys? You couldn't hate everybody. And still people
yeah.
some mad at me because of CIA bounce. And I'm like, yo, I didn't even coach your kid. You know what I mean? What you talking about? They hit the other guy. They hit the other guy, which is, you know, again, I'm neither here or there. That's their own personal, you know what I mean? But don't involve me because you don't like so-and-so. And you're like, yo, but Mike, I'm like, you don't know me like that. You don't know my journey. You don't know, like, yo, sorry, I'm getting a little ignorant down there, but not ignorant, but I'm get a little like, you don't know my life and my grind. You know what? Sorry about that. You don't know the grind, what's going on with my 5 brothers, my life, and how some of my brothers went in and out of jail, living in a single parent home, and da. Like, you don't know my stuff, man. Like, so don't come and judge me and say like you're some better person. You know what I mean? That's what I get.
Yeah,
Like, bothers me.
yeah.
And then and I went and made a hard living for myself. Went to school, took the what do you call that stuff? OSAP is what do you call it again? Took my
Hmm.
OSAP. You know what I mean? Paid that thing off. Got my teacher's degree, you know, got my degree, then went to teacher's college, like taught for like 13 years. So I ain't freeloading off of nobody. You understand me? So
Facts.
don't put me in the same group as you put some other people, because that's not me. And I donated just to throw it out there, and I donated half of that money that went with Deal No Deal. So don't look at me like I'm sideways and crazy. That's not me. That's not Mike George. You feel me?
Facts.
So
Speak
let's
it,
just
speak it.
let's
I
keep it on
love
the
it.
record. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. A lot of
Yeah.
people need to hear this, man, because
Yeah.
it's true. It's definitely true. A lot of stuff that you're talking is facts, man.
Yeah.
It's all facts.
Especially a lot of people in that chippy group, and I don't know if you're in that that coaches group with Chippy.
I was in it, and I removed myself, man. Just a lot of things I just wasn't in agreement with, so I removed myself, man.
There's a lot of times, listen, there's a lot of times I want to remove myself too, but I'm like, nah, I'm going to stay in here so I can just deal with some people in here on a certain level, because at the end of the day, these guys will talk your name, make up some false accusations on you, say whatever. But I'm like, yo, I'm a man, like, say it to my face. You know what I mean? Put it here so I can see it, but they'll never do that. They'll talk
Yeah,
behind your back. You know what I mean? So,
that's
anyways,
the worst part.
anyways, sorry. You
All
let my
right.
Jamaican come out there.
No, man, no, man. This is all good stuff, man.
Mm.
You know, not a lot of people get to hear from you, so this is good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm.
Let's move forward with the NBA. How do you feel about this whole bubble, man? How do you feel?
I know there's some people that are like, yo, they shouldn't do it. It's taking attention off the movement and blah, blah, blah. But they have to do it. I think it's something that if it's not done, it can cause drastic effects come in December, where you're talking about a lockout. You're talking about ripping up the collective bargaining agreement that's pre-existing. Like, so we can't, they have to make it through this bubble. And I guess the biggest thing for me is just making sure guys that are in there actually understand that. And if I see J.R. Smith make another post, you know what I mean, I may snap myself because you're an ungrateful guy. You know what I mean? Like, yo, what you complaining about?
him,
On, man.
him and Dwight Howard is always on live,
Yeah, what are
always
you
on IG
complaining
live
about?
talking about it.
Dude, we grew
This
up on
that
peanut butter and jelly.
right?
You know what I mean? You're complaining about, man. You know what I'm
it,
saying? Like,
it's funny. I made a post on here. It was a statement that Jamal Murray made, and he said if anybody's in game shape, they were doing something they weren't supposed to do. So I was like, well, yeah, you guys were supposed to be quarantined, and you guys were supposed to be in the gym. No one was supposed to be doing no 5-on-5, playing no up and down. And a lot of people didn't get it. They were calling him a hater. They were like, "Oh, you're snitching." And I'm like, "What are you guys saying?" Like, he's just saying that no one. He's just saying that no one should be in game shape.
he
You know what I mean?
he is the most hated Canadian in America. So no matter what he says, ever since he did that thing, the ball. But the thing I love about it
Yeah.
though is he feeds off that negativity. You know what I mean? So as much
Oh
as they hate
yeah.
him, they love him because he gives them
Yeah.
business. He gives them the work. You know. So
He's been
I'm
he's
all
been
do it,
he's been
man.
he's been in the media a little bit, man, with that when he
I
bounced the
love it.
ball when he bounced the
Yeah,
ball
yeah,
between
yeah,
the
yeah,
dude.
yeah.
And then he
Shout out
had
to his
some
pops, Roger, big up, big up.
big up Roger, man. And then he had some little leaky some footage
Yeah,
there going on.
let's talk about that on that. Yeah. Let's talk
That
about
was
that.
wild. I love him. I love him.
The kids.
What advice, man? The last question I got for you, bro. What advice do you have for kids, man? We had a dude in here. He was asking how do you become an agent. What advice do you have for these kids out in Toronto who want to become agents, man?
I think the biggest thing, just understand, like, everybody always says they want to be an agent, and being an agent, first of all, it's not easy. You know, you're dealing with
Definitely
different
not.
personality, different characters, and the other part is, being an agent, a lot of this is relationship based, man, and getting clients. And once you're in that, like, if you don't have a pipeline or relationships, or you haven't built whatever, it is a hard thing to do. So when I hear guys say, man, I really want to be an agent, well, who do you know? Who's your relate? And if you have zero to say about that, then there's no way you're gonna get, unless you go get in one of these bigger firms that you'll recruit guys based off their name, as in the firm, than
Mm-hmm.
yourself, then you can have some success with it. But even when then, it's still a challenge because a lot of this stuff is relationship based.
Okay.
So,
All
and do
right.
internship, man. Go get some internship. Go sit down, like even myself. Any guys in Canada want to whatever explore it. If you're serious about it and you're involved in basketball and you know basketball, like, yeah, man, like, you can message me anytime. So
Okay. This guy, Canada Hoops TV, he has a question, man. I think he's from
sure,
Malton, this guy, man. What's your
sure.
question, Canada Hoops TV? What's your question? Come on. We got 6 minutes, bro. Hurry up. Name top five Canadian. I'm gonna let you do this one, Mike. And
What do
I
you say?
talked I talked he goes, name your top five NBA Canadian in order. Oh, okay. Top five NBA in order. I thought he was just saying Canadians because when we had that we talked about that before, and
So top
obviously
five NBA.
a lot of guys named Bobby Allen and Phil Dixon. That was like
Yeah,
one and two
got it.
interchangeable. So,
Agree.
but
Agree with
but
that.
he's talking about NBA. He's talking about NBA guys. Who would you say?
In general, top five.
Yeah.
Everyone that's my client. I'll
Who you
keep it
got?
simple as
Jamal,
that.
Dwight,
Yeah,
Dylan,
yeah,
uh,
Rodney,
uh,
all those guys. Yeah,
Rock.
so all those guys, yeah, O'Shea, Kyle, those guys, Jalen
Yeah.
Adams, those guys are all top five. So all good. Yeah, so I'll leave it at that.
All
But
right, man.
but as far as Canadians, the best player, again, anyone that's my client.
Hey, I love
I
it.
stand for mine. I stand for mine.
I love the answer, man.
Yeah, man.
And we're gonna slide Bobby Allen in, man, with that Malton guy, top players ever to come out of Canada.
Arguably the
He's
best
gonna be
scorer.
up there. Yeah,
Arguably
he's
the
a,
best scorer ever to play in Canadian, period. Even with the guys
yeah.
today, I don't think anyone scored the way Bobby scored. And Phil
Mm,
Dixon special too. You know what I mean? So both those guys, I would say, they're above everybody else.
oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Who's the dark horse in this year's playoff? Who you think is the dark horse? You got Denver, man, dark horse, and a lot of people ain't talking about Denver like that.
Well, if they're not being talked about and you consider them a dark horse, then I would say Denver. But I mean, yeah, I just say I think I picked Denver. I think it's going to be a team, and the Raptors aren't really talked about either. They disrespect the
Yeah,
Raptors. It's
yeah,
more Milwaukee,
100
Clippers,
100%.
Lakers. They don't really talk about, and I think the Raptors. It's going to be a team that is going to be deep and be able to fight through. Because some of these guys, knock on wood, they're going to go through some injuries. They're going to get fatigued. So you got to have a good bench. And this is where I think teams like Houston and even the Lakers, I'm not really sold on their bench. You know what I mean? The Clippers are
Yeah,
deep. You know what I mean? But I just think,
Clippers are very deep.
yeah. But I think Denver has a deep bench, and I think
They
Toronto has a
do,
deep
man.
bench. And
Denver
Milwaukee,
has a really Milwaukee's bench is not. I'm not really sold on their bench.
right?
I believe not. I'm not even really sold on Dallas, to be honest. He's saying, what about
Who?
Dallas? My
Who?
partner's talking about Dallas Mavericks.
Man, they don't.
I'm not sold with Dallas. I believe Denver has a really really deep bench, man. You
Luke,
got guys like what's his name? What's that guy's name from Baltimore?
Jeremy Grant.
Oh man, no, from
Oh, Will
he's on
Barton.
Denver.
Will
Will
Barton.
Barton.
Yeah,
He's good. He's a really good
yeah,
player, man. I think he comes off the bench for them. So
yeah.
yeah, I'm
No,
not
no,
sold with Dallas,
they're
man.
gonna be tough. They're gonna be tough. So I
Yeah,
don't see anybody beating them guys
yeah,
as far as
and
dark horse.
your guy, he lost a lot of weight, man. The Joker, he came
He
back
did.
looking like a
He
whole nother
did.
person. So
But
let's see how that looks,
is that
man.
a good thing or bad thing? Time will tell, man.
That's what I'm saying. I said let's see how that looks. So I don't know.
Mhm.
Maybe you can't even handle playing for that with that weight. So we'll see.
Right. Right.
So any more questions, man? We got 2 minutes, man. So um. we're gonna wrap it up because we got 2 minutes. But brother, I really appreciate you coming through, man.
Of
This
course.
was something that everybody wanted. I asked sometimes I ask like people like who they want me to interview, and your name came up. So this is good for us in hip hop hoops, and it's good for Malton. A
Yeah.
lot of the Malton guys is like, man, try to get Mikey. So I actually even forgot I had your number on my phone. So
No,
when
no, you're good.
I was looking through, I was like, yo, I don't know if this is the right number. So let me just text and see what happens. But I appreciate you coming on, man, taking your time, spitting
My pleasure.
some real gems. For sure. My partner's saying thanks for coming on, and hopefully when things clear up and COVID's done, you could come on the show for real and sit with us
For
in
sure.
studio, man, and we can have it again
And then I'll understand Instagram better. Just kidding. No, what's that? Forget about the Instagram. So I ain't mess with this thing.
yeah,
But
yeah.
listen, I just want to tell you, keep doing what you're doing. I've been watching it. I love the way you deal with your daughter, by the way.
Thank
It's
you, man.
always
Thank you.
inspirational when I see us, guys taking care of our stuff at home. So I respect that. And keep doing what you guys are doing, man. This is great. I mean, the more in any way I can help you, support it, even with some of the clients and guys coming on to talk. Let's do it, man. So I'll
Yeah,
open to
man.
all that.
That is something for sure, man.
Yeah.
Obviously, getting some guys that'll be a blessing for us, man. So,
Even though
we'll talk.
I didn't know you went to running me, I'll still do it. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah. Listen, man. I came to Malton at 14, bro. So you
you
know what I mean.
converted me. You
Yeah,
converted me.
I
It's all
converted, and
good.
plus me and you, we went through a lot of different battles. So
Of
the
course,
love is
of
there,
course,
man.
of course, man. Always
But
love, man.
yeah, man. I
Always love.
appreciate you coming on, brother. We'll keep in touch soon, man.
Okay. All
All
right,
right,
man. You
man.
guys take care.
Thanks,
Peace,
Mike,
man.
man.
All right, peace out,
Peace.
brother. All right, cool.
There you have it, man. We just got done with Mike George. I hope you guys loved it. We got 5 seconds left. We got Copeland. Great interview my partner had. Stay